and long.
Ty France gets it done.
Here's the payoff.
He got him. Struck him out.
Score is tagged and deep by the wall. Walk it off. Swing and a miss. Strike three.
From the Seattle Mariners, Ty France and Julio Rodriguez.
The home of the 2023 MLB All-Star Game. And the Mariners knocking on the door to a playoff appearance for the first time since 2001. The 3-2 pitch, swing and a drive deep to right field.
Dream lives. They're going to the playoffs.
Good morning, everyone, and thanks for joining us today. We're thrilled to be here for the first time since 2020. We can actually get together in person and do this. So, again, thank you all for joining us. As I think you saw from that video that just played, there's a lot of excitement around this team, and there's a lot of excitement around the 2023 season. A couple of notes to get started, and we'll follow up more depth on that. There's just a very limited number of single-game tickets remaining for opening night, as well as a few we're holding back for new season ticket members, and I know Greg Green will follow up some more on that, but there's obviously a lot of excitement in the market. You saw the new refurbished Diamond Club that's going to be ready for opening day. That is sold out. The new Press Club on the 200 level is sold out. So again, a lot of excitement from our fans, a lot of excitement around the team, and we very much appreciate everything you guys all do in helping tell the team stories and helping tell our players' stories. Before I get too far into this, I want to make sure I introduce everybody on the communications team. I think you know, hopefully many or all of us, but Kevin Martinez, our Senior Vice President of Marketing and Communications, is in the room. Sarah Alamshaw, our Director of Brand Communications, who not all of you may know. Adam Gresh, Alex Mayer, Freddie Llanos, work in baseball information, baseball communications, are all here. Freddie, as always, continues to speak Spanish, so if you need help with any of our Spanish-speaking players, that's what we've got him here for. Many of you may have not met Madison McPhee that works with our broadcasters and on our broadcasting side. And then we'll be joined again by several people to help us throughout the season, including Jordan Stone. So the biggest reason, and I don't want to forget Aaron Rowley, who's our Director of Internal Communications, who's also in the room. Everyone you see up here today and everyone that we talk with will be available following the event, as well as other Mariners front office staff. So if you have any follow-ups or one-on-one questions or other needs, please seek out anyone on the communications staff. So, with all of that, we're going to be starting out with a couple of virtual guests today. We're very pleased some people could join us from far, far away. And first up is going to be Colton Wong.
And Wong sends one to right. That one's way back. And there she goes. And Wong, that's down the line, a base hit. And we are tied.
Ground ball towards the middle. Wong diving stab behind the back. Gets up. Got him.
And Colton Wong is in with a leadoff triple. Colton Wong, clutch.
On the ground up the middle, diving is Wong. What a play!
Colton, thank you for joining us. Can you hear me, Colton?
Yep, I can hear you.
Perfect. And we're off and running. We
Awesome.
love virtual baseball. Any questions for Colton? Daniel, here you go.
Hey, Colton. Welcome to Seattle. We didn't get a chance to talk to you right after the trade. Can you kind of just walk us through what your reaction was and just the emotions you felt going from one team that was trying to contend to this team here with obviously a lot of excitement?
Yeah, obviously excited, like you said. You know, I'm at a point in my career now where I'm trying to win a ring, you know, and obviously seeing what Seattle was able to do last year. The excitement they brought throughout baseball last year was definitely something that made me as a player excited to come here. And, you know, obviously seeing the talent you guys had and the pitching staff that you guys had, I just wanted to be on board. So I'm excited.
Stoney?
Yeah, hey, Colton. What did you think of your season last year, and what are your expectations for 2023?
Yeah, I think every year is different. You know, it's hard to really, justify each year. I feel like defensively it was a really down year for me. You know, I'm always going to kind of go to my flaws before I go to the successes. So I feel like that was something that I've been working hard on this year. You know, and I feel like not having the shifts is definitely going to make it better for me. I felt like I was put in some situations last year where I just it wasn't comfortable, and like it got some weird hops. So I'm excited now with no shifts, and then just to kind of come in and continue to do what I've been doing offensively. I feel like I've been growing a lot, as a hitter and understanding the game. The older I got, the more years I've accumulated in this league. So I'm excited to continue to grow as a player, as a person, and continue to get better and do what I can, from a veteran standpoint to help the young guys, in this situation if they need any help. And because obviously baseball is a tough sport. We all know that. And, you're going to get punched in your mouth more than you're going to get loved. So, I want to be there to help these young guys and show them that, this is all part of the game. Enjoy the process and the grind more than enjoy the results.
Ryan?
Hey, Colton. I read somewhere where you said you kind of lost some trust in your hands. Have you talked to Perry Hill about getting that trust back and how much conversation you've had with Perry? He's kind of a different dude to talk with.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I've been begging Perry to come down already. I had conversations with Jerry about getting him down here. And so I think he'll be down here, within the next few weeks. So I'm excited to get with him already. I didn't want to wait till spring training. I didn't want to wait around and waste my time. I felt like if Perry's down here and I can put in work with him, let's start as soon as possible. So, I'm excited to get with him. I was able to work with Okendo in St. Louis, who, really was the person who helped me get the first 2 Gold Gloves. And I'm excited to get with Perry now because I feel like those are 2 of, some of the best infield coaches in the game. And to have those 2 under my belt would be pretty cool.
Colton, why do you think getting rid of the shift will actually help you defensively?
I'm a guy that I like to use my feet. I like to be able to not calculate my steps, but, just understand what foot is important to catch the baseball. And sometimes when you're put in those weird positions, you're kind of put in a standstill, and there's a lot of balls last year where, it was hit at me in such a weird position. I wasn't able to kind of like really work around it and get through it. And I think that's why, I was kind of getting caught in bad hops and, had some bad things happen last year where I think this year is going to give me the ability to use my athleticism and get to the ball how I want to get to, the way that I know that I can get to it, corral it, and still make a good throw. So I feel like that's going to be a big thing for me. It's going to also, eliminate all these guys who aren't second basemen. I feel like, second base has kind of been a position that people always overlooked and they don't realize how hard it is to play. But now that there's no shifts, you're really going to see the true second basemen out there.
Colton, I'm curious what your prior relationships with the front office here with the Mariners was like, and if you have prior relationships with players on the team that'll make it easier to transition and fit right in.
Yeah, I mean, not really much relationship with the front office. I talked to them back in free agency back in 2021, I think it was. And, we were close to almost getting a deal done. Obviously, I went with Milwaukee, so nothing bad at that point. I think in free agency, you just kind of taking everything with a grain of salt, understanding that, everybody's just trying to make the team better and do it as cheap as possible. So, it's one of those things. But I played with Marco. I played against JP, but I really haven't played against the Seattle Mariners much in my career. I think maybe twice, and so I'm excited just to come and meet new people, be in a different organization, being in a different division, just something that I've never done. I've been in the Central my whole career, in the NL Central. So it's like it's a big change for me, but I'm very excited to be, in something, very new.
Tim?
Colin, this question comes from Mariner Mojo on YouTube. Have you talked to J.P. Crawford this offseason, and how do you feel about the 2 of you up the middle?
Yeah, so I've talked to him a little bit. Obviously, we both have families and whatnot, and the offseason's always tough with all the seasons coming up. But I talked to him for a little bit, and very excited. When you watch JP play, you see a guy who's out there grinding every single day, a guy who plays the game the right way, has that swagger. And defensively, he's one of the premier guys you want to watch. He's always fun. He's always making some kind of acrobatic play, and I feel like me and him up the middle, it's kind of the same guy on both sides. You're going to get that athleticism. You're going to get, that grinder mentality. I'm not the kind of guy that's going to show up every day and, hit all the time, but I'm going to show up every day and I'm going to make sure I go first, third. I'm going to steal that important bag. I'm going to make that important defensive play. I think JP's the same way. So, having us two up the middle to, kind of be that spark and be that excitement. Obviously, you got, Julio kind of running the show, and rightfully so. The guy's, amazing to watch. He's an amazing player. And for how young he is, it just seems like his maturity is through the roof. So, watch us throughout the middle, I think it's going to be very fun. And with that pitching staff, I think me and JP are really going to have fun, doing some plays behind these guys.
Colton, obviously a baseball decision to come to Seattle, everything you just talked about with the way this roster is built up. But How much of a factor is it when, you see that playoff game and you see the atmosphere and see how excited this town is for baseball? How much does that weigh into, how excited you are to play here?
Oh, I mean, it's huge. Obviously, just kind of watching it, as a baseball fan and seeing that stadium, playing there was one thing. It's pretty cool to play in that stadium, knowing that, greats like Ken Griffey played there, guys that, for me as a young kid growing up, that was the left-handed swing that I emulated. That was the guy that I watched. So to see, that stadium in person and then to realize, like, man, I wonder what this stadium is like fully packed, and then see it, in the playoffs and see the excitement and see how rowdy the fans got. I think at that point you just realize that if I ever get a chance to play here, like, I want to play in the postseason. I want to be a part of some magic here, and these fans are going to continue to push us and lead the players. At the end of the day, that's kind of what fuels players. Is like the fans coming in, the fans pushing us and keeping us on our toes, excited to play. And Seattle just seems like the fan base there is incredible, and I can't wait to see it.
Colton, you talked about wanting to help out the young players. I'm curious as to who helped out you when you were that player. Who were the influential guys in your clubhouses?
Yes, I mean, I had a lot. When I first got caught up, I was kind of I think I was like one of the first waves of the younger generation kind of getting into the big leagues. Before, you had to be like 27, 28, it seemed like, to actually crack the big leagues. So, I had a lot of good guys that helped me. Matt Holliday was a huge help for me. When I first got drafted, he kind of took me under his wing and flew me up to St. Louis and showed me the ropes of what it's like to be a pro baseball player. I got to train with him for a week. John Jay is my guy. He's like one of my best friends. He was my mentor when I was young. Helped me a lot, through my transitions of failing and whatnot at this level. Daniel Descalso, was a big guy for me defensively, helping me understand, the importance of, fundamentals and making sure that, you corral the baseball first, then you make the play. So, I was very lucky to be in St. Louis at that time, to have a lot of older guys. Obviously I had that veteran treatment, which is a little tough, but, I think it's something that is overlooked nowadays because guys don't get to appreciate that anymore. And I'm very, very grateful that I did.
Anything else for Colton? Colton, thank you very much for joining us. We really do appreciate you taking the time.
Awesome. Thank you. Seattle. Jesus. Aloha.
I think you heard one question from YouTube. I want to make sure I welcome our fans that are joining us on Mariners.com, YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. If you are following us on one of those channels, feel free to comment with your question to one of our guests. And now we're going to be joined by our new Director of Player Development, Justin Toole. Justin joined us on December 1. He spent the last 3 years as the Cleveland Guardians Major League hitting analyst. He has a very interesting path in that he was in the dugout during the season and in the front office during the off season. So, Justin, thank you for joining us.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Questions for Justin. Corey?
Hey, Justin, how do you go about in 2-3 months' time familiarizing yourself with all the players in the system and including all the programs that you guys already had in place? I guess a lot of it's observation, but how do you sort of corral all that in a short period of time?
It's I've kind of heard the phrase of drinking from a fire hose a little bit, but it's been fun. I think it's a credit to the people in the organization. Obviously, coming into the 2022 Organization of the Year is definitely not something that very many people get to do. So doing a lot of listening, a lot of asking questions. It's a credit to Andy and his group, and then obviously Jerry and Justin giving me the opportunity to come in and just, trying to build upon the things that have given this organization success over the last few years. So obviously being in Cleveland and coming into Seattle and playing them last year, you saw a lot of good things happening, and a lot of those good things start in the minor leagues. So, coming into this situation, it's not necessarily trying to change things. It's trying to sprinkle a little bit of things here and there to try and continue to build on the good things that are already there. So credit to that group, and also credit to the coordinator group that's been able to, help me with the players and help me with the processes and things like that. So definitely has been a process. It'll continue to be a process as we move forward, but it's one that I've enjoyed so far, and I look forward to continuing.
Stoney?
Yeah, hi. How would you characterize the current state of the farm system with so many key players graduating to the major leagues? There's not as many prospects on the top 100 list. How do you stand right now?
Yeah, I look at it as a lot of opportunity. I think there's a lot of opportunity for our players in the minor leagues to show what they can do and kind of put themselves on a map. And I think anytime you're in a situation like that, it's because the major league team's having success, and that's obviously something that you want to be a part of. And I mean, you don't have to look far, up in the big leagues with Logan Gilbert, Cal Raleigh, Julio Rodriguez, Matt Brash, George Kirby, guys like that who were in the minor leagues a few years ago. And I think it's an easy message for our minor league players to say these guys sat where you've sat, they've been where you've been, and now look at them contribute to the major league group. So I think there's a lot of opportunity, and I think the unique thing that we have is trying to develop the players to be able to support our major league team, but not only support them in a competitive environment. So looking, at the roster and looking at the group and what they want to accomplish, it's when guys get called up, they need to be ready to perform in big situations. Obviously every win matters. So I think the message is there's just so much opportunity out there for their personal development, but not only that, to help our major league team win.
Other questions for Justin? Ryan?
Hey, Justin, I know obviously you walk into a situation that's kind of ready-made, but is there anything different that you're going to bring from Cleveland, from your time there, that you would like to implement in this system that maybe they aren't doing?
I don't necessarily think that there's anything, that I would bring in differently. I think one of the big things that kind of drew me to Seattle was, I feel like my values and the organization's values align. And one of the biggest things is the people. So that's one of the biggest things that brought me here. Obviously, I've got a relationship with Andy McKay. He was my summer ball manager when I was in college. Pete Woodworth was on my team. So having relationships with them and knowing what this organization is about made that transition over here that much easier. But we're just continuing to build on the success that the organization has had. I don't think it's necessarily one person like myself that can come in. It's a group of people. It's the entire coordinator group, the entire staff. Continuing to work together, pulling in the same direction to continue to make things better. So I wouldn't say there's necessarily one thing here or there, but just bringing in a new outside perspective and continuing to find ways to improve on the great things that are already going on is kind of how I look at things.
Tim?
Justin, this question comes from Al on YouTube. How will your experience that you've gained over at the Guardians translate over to developing players at the Mariners?
Yeah, one of the storylines and kind of narratives you hear out of Cleveland is player development matters. So I think that's kind of how I've always looked at it when I was a player in their system, and then as a coach. You're always trying to find ways to maximize player development. So I think that's definitely something that'll continue to stick to me over here. And again, the resources and the groups of people that we have in place, I'm really excited to work with each and every one of them to, again, help develop our players to ultimately contribute to our major league team in Seattle. I think listening to Colton talk about the excitement of the playoffs, obviously was able to see the same things that he was talking about. So I think, finding ways to continue that excitement and that buzz that's with our major league team throughout the minor leagues is something that we want to try to take advantage of and continue to, do the best we can to develop as many guys as we can to make as big of an impact as we can.
Daniel?
Hey, Justin, going from a playing career and then obviously transitioning to a coaching career and then to a front office, you've taken some pretty significant steps with the Cleveland organization. What have you learned about yourself from a professional standpoint over this course of your journey?
I've learned a lot. I learned when I was playing, they always kept asking me when I wanted to start coaching. I think I learned that meant I wasn't a very good player. But there's just different perspectives, I think, is the biggest thing. As a player, you look at the game one way. As a coach, you look at the game another way. And in the office, you look at a game yet another way. So I think just different experiences and things that I've been able to kind of look at from different viewpoints has been something that's really helped me. And in this game, you continue to learn every day. So I've really enjoyed the last couple of months of coming into a new organization and learning new systems and new philosophies and putting new names with new faces, and obviously excited to get down to spring training to do that, not only with our staff, but with our minor league players. So, the whole group's been so welcoming, even Scott and the major league staff, being able to interact with them. It's been great. I think just the different viewpoints is probably the biggest thing of you often think maybe this is the way things work. And then when you have a different viewpoint, it opens up different ideas and new ways of thinking. So that's probably the biggest learning curve or learning path that that I've been through the past few years.
All right. Anything else for Justin? Thank you very much, Justin. We appreciate you joining us.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me. Have a good day.
Thus finishes the virtual portion of the day, much to Tim's joy. We'll start off with Greg Green. Greg, as you all know, is our Vice President of Marketing, and Greg's going to run us through a few of the things we can look forward to this season.
Thanks, Tim. I want to give you a quick update on some of the promotions and events we have coming up this year. But I want to talk first about opening day. The enthusiasm that Mariner fans showed last season has spilled over into 2023 already, as the ballpark is almost full. We have very limited tickets left for opening day. The best way now for fans to get tickets for opening day is through a season ticket membership. They can go to mariners.com/23 to get in an opening day. It should be a great time at the ballpark. It should be a national holiday in our opinion. All right, I want to take you through some of the events, and leading off is our own leadoff man and leading man, Julio Rodriguez. The first Saturday will be his Mariners debut as a bobblehead. He picked up his American League Rookie of the Year award this weekend, and the first 20,000 fans can pick up a Julio Rodriguez bobblehead night on April 1st. Another breakout star from last year who had just an iconic moment here at the ballpark, a 2-out, 9th inning walk-off home run to put us into the postseason. Cal Raleigh, we will be celebrating that clinch moment with a bobblehead of his own that will look almost identical to that iconic moment right there. Given away on Friday the 14th, the Cal Raleigh clinch bobblehead for the first 20,000 fans. A couple other great giveaways for fans to collect throughout the season. J.P. Crawford will be taking Funko form. Our friends up in Everett are producing a great item for the fans in May. Ty France will be making his Mariners bobblehead debut in July. And then, as we mentioned earlier in the year, Felix will be entering the Mariners Hall of Fame on a Saturday in August. The following Sunday, we will be giving away his bobblehead. And then one to definitely circle on the calendar is J-Rod Funko Pop Night on that Sunday. Now, not all of the giveaways can be fastballs down the middle. We got to throw a few curveballs, and we know this guy can hit the curveball a long way, and our fans like collecting some of these unique items. Starting on Mother's Day, yes, we're giving away, you read that right, a Gino Grigio wine tumbler to the first 10,000 moms. Not to be outdone, coming back on Father's Day, the first 10,000 dads are going to get a a talking bottle opener, a Good Vibes talking bottle opener. And then on July 1st, we find out what happens when you combine the 4th of July holiday with a cowboy hat and Cal Rally. You get a patriotic cowboy hat. Yes, we will be giving that away on July 1st as we get ready for the 4th of July holiday here in Seattle. One more unique item that we're looking forward to. We will be giving this away on the second night of the ballpark, Friday night, college night. It is a cross body bag. All the cool kids are wearing these. The first 10,000 fans will get one of these. And the coolest of the cool kids is actually modeling this for us. And we look forward to seeing him rocking this in the pen for us on that Friday night. Now, if I don't end up stuffed in one of those crossbody bags, looking forward to quite a few unique and special events coming up here at the ballpark, starting with Kids Opening Day. The first Sunday at the ballpark is Kids Opening Day, and all kids 14 and under will get a Luis Castillo Kids T-shirt. We'll celebrate Pride Night here at the ballpark again on June 16th. The following night is our Salute to Negro Leagues night. The Mariners will be wearing their Steelheads uniforms. And what's more, the first 10,000 fans will get a Steelheads replica jersey, which is super cool. Felix is going into the Mariners Hall of Fame on August 12th. It should be an amazing night at the ballpark. It's truly special as the King gets inducted into the Mariners Hall of Fame. Tickets for that game are going really fast. Hope fans can get in on them early because it's going to be a packed house to celebrate truly one of the greatest Mariners of all time. We will have Hispanic Heritage Night here to kick off Hispanic Heritage Month on September 15th as we play the Dodgers, and the Mariners will be rocking their Marineros uniforms. Fireworks nights are back. We have 7 of them this season, presented by T-Mobile. It all gets underway on the Friday of Memorial Day weekend and wraps up on Fan Appreciation Night in September. Fans can go to mariners.com/promotions to get more information on all these great events. And what's more, we're really excited that fans can get into all these events at a great price. Announced earlier, all center field bleacher tickets all season long will be $10 every game. It's a great way for fans to come out to the ballpark, continue to support the team. We also have over a third of our games, 32 in all, will be value games, which means fans can get $10 view seats, $20 main level seats, and $30 Terrace Club level seats. Also, the J-Rod squad is back out there in center field. Main level tickets, $25 to every game. New this year, it'll be a general admission ticket, so fans can buy a ticket one day, their buddy can go buy a ticket the next day, and they can meet up in the J-Rod squad. A really cool, unique way to enjoy Mariners baseball. Lastly, we heard from our fans last year. They loved the value menu that we introduced. We are taking that and expanding it from 7 to a dozen items, and they'll be available throughout the ballpark, priced between $2 and $4, and fans can get that all season long. Fans can go to mariners.com/value for more information, and we look forward to seeing everybody at the ballpark at the Electric Factory in 2023. Thanks, Tim.
Thanks so much, Greg. Greg will be available at lunch if you'd like to follow up to discuss crossbody bags. Thank you. I want to introduce from our Community Relations Department, Nova Newcomer, who's our Director of Community Relations. She's going to be joined today for an announcement by Aaron Trolia and Jamil Conti from EL1. Nova?
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity to share our community mission to ensure everyone in our region can thrive. As we've all been through a collective global pandemic, we know that the disparate impacts of that pandemic have hit our most vulnerable populations the most. And access to active play is one of the answers to recovering from the isolation that children have experienced, the academic struggles, and to be honest, what we're seeing as elevating levels of mental health crises for children. Baseball and softball, though, are not equitably available across the country and within the Mariners' geographies. Access and participation rates in baseball and softball can be predicted by race, gender, and income. According to data compiled by the King County Play Equity Coalition, in 2020, households with incomes over $100,000 were twice as likely to have a child playing in sports as children coming from families living below the poverty line. The median age of a Little League baseball or softball player in Washington is 8.9 years old, suggesting that few youth join baseball and softball after the age of 8. And we're very familiar that there's a steep, drastic cliff after the age of 12. Those are some sobering numbers, but we also have a plan to address them. Together with our partners, we can leverage this unique moment in 2023 where we will all be coming together to celebrate a year of baseball and softball in the Northwest, and also to demonstrate our commitment to play equity and galvanizing our region into action to change this trajectory. Our program for access at the Mariners is called On Base. It's baseball and softball everywhere. And so what does it mean to have a year of baseball and softball in the Northwest? Well, we took that and decided that we wanted to have an elevated focus around that. And our strategy for this year is On Base 365. Every child needs an introduction experience to the game, the opportunity to play. We'll be activating play ball events in all 5 of the Mariners states in our market, making sure that every child has the opportunity to see if this is a game that they will get a spark from and love. Once you have that introduction experience, you need a place and a way to play. We'll be working with schools, boys and girls clubs, youth leagues, to look at placemaking projects. I don't know if you all are familiar with that kind of old metal sign on school grounds that says no hardball allowed. Well, we know that that's because they don't want kids hitting, or adults hitting baseballs into windows. But it's also a symbol. Baseball and softball aren't played regularly on school grounds, and we want to make sure that we're bringing baseball and softball back to school. Baseball and softball are played here. We want children to have that access at school. And then also we talked about the fact that many parents and families, if a child doesn't come from a family that's played baseball or there's been a disconnection from the sport, many parents will say they don't know where to sign their child up for baseball and softball. So together with partners and with our own communication channels, we've been working to elevate the ability to sign up for leagues. We have a league finder on our website, making sure that we continue to put the information out there on where to sign up for baseball and softball. And once they play, making sure they stay in the game, the retention effort. So we want to invest in middle school baseball and softball and really look at that from all ages and stages. So putting together a league incubator that allows children to take the game to the level that they want to take it. And then finally, looking at advanced development. There's kids who need access to advanced training, advanced development, and today currently don't have the access to take the game all the way to whatever level is their dream. And we want to be able to provide that. So our vision for access engages fans, because it's really important. Bringing fans into the ballpark is also an access strategy, because we know that when they get to see baseball at its highest level, it's inspiring. It makes them think and dream for the future. We want to develop players, and eventually the ones who want to be prospects, we want to give them a roadmap to get there. And then also a future workforce, because there's opportunities to work in the sports industry, work in Major League Baseball, work for the Mariners, and we want to make sure that children know what the access points are for that. So as I said, the vision for access extends beyond just the field of play. It's about connecting the fans in our region to unforgettable experiences in their community and in our ballpark. It's about giving young ball players access and the opportunity and tools to play and develop, taking their game to the level they want to take it, and providing those pathways to working in baseball if and when competitive playing days come to an end. So today, to support our ramp up for Mariners On Base 365 and a step toward our vision for barrier-free access, we are excited to announce a new partnership with EL1 Sports, rebranding their 5 state-of-the-art baseball and softball training facilities in Washington to Mariners Training Centers. This Tacoma-based training company, founded here, also are partners of Major League Baseball and the Los Angeles Dodgers, and have 15 facilities across the country. They employ a network of instructors who are trained to bring camps and clinics to communities across the Mariners' 5-state market, and obviously also inside of their facilities. As part of this partnership, we're excited to announce that the Mariners Training Center will also be the official training partner of our RBI program here locally, Baseball Beyond Borders, who are here with us today in the room and available for questions, and off-season training partner for our Hometown 9 Student Athlete Fellows. More than just rebranded facilities, this is a commitment to providing access to programming in communities, neighborhoods, at school, and after-school programs. Here with me today are EL1 co-founders Aaron Trolia and Jamil Kante, who you get to hear from directly.
Thanks, Nova. Good morning. I'm Aaron Trolia, co-founder of EL1.
And I am Jamil Kante, the other founder of EL1, and we are so excited to be here today to discuss a partnership between the Mariners Training Academies, or Centers, and the Mariners. And being Tacoma natives, this is a dream come true for us. These bright lights, we were ready for this. We were waiting, and have so much to share with you all today.
Thanks, Jamil. For myself, this has been a long personal journey with the organization. Obviously, growing up in Tacoma, avid Mariners fan, had the opportunity to clean cleats as a bat boy for the AAA team, and then having the opportunity to play professionally for the organization, that was the dream come true. To then experience some rough times in life, but come out of it and build a business to support the youth in our communities and now partner with that same organization, the Mariners, is surreal. EL1's a national sports training and development company, but we're so much more than that. This company was founded on putting the right men and women in front of kids and doing it consistently and doing it with access for every single kid in the market. And so we do that through a wide variety of different training programs and development programs for both baseball and softball. That are inclusive for all ages, skill and ability levels. We start as young as 3 years old with our quick ball program that was designed by young childhood educators that happen to be baseball coaches and scouts. It's like a little carnival for kids playing baseball, which is exciting to keep kids in the game, all the way through the high school player that's looking to play in college or make a professional career. Once we started this organization way back in 2010, we saw that the market was extremely fragmented. The costs were through the roof. We believe that there was a more efficient and a better way to do it. We saw lots of volunteers that are well-intended and great people that lack resources, bandwidth to execute in their communities. And so we decided to build something in service of that. So we actually offer many back office services programs to really support organizations from the Little League level all the way through training facilities. And so partnering with the Mariners and having 5 training centers is just the beginning. We're actually providing access through our mobile program as well. I believe we have almost 90 events scheduled throughout that 5-state region to bring baseball and the Mariners to these communities that might not have access to make it to one of these facilities. So this is just the beginning. We're extremely honored, blessed, and humbled to be here and be part of this organization once again. And I will pass it back to Jamil.
Thank you. We have a strong belief that every kid deserves the opportunity to participate in sports, and we see firsthand the impact of that. Nova had some stats, but the social emotional learning, the confidence building, that's all necessary for childhood development. We have a steadfast commitment, not just EL1, the Mariners Training Academy. We're coming together to really make a huge impact across the Northwest region, and as Aaron mentioned, across the United States. We keep hearing the word access, inclusivity. Baseball Beyond Border, Buki Gates and his organization is here, as Nova mentioned, and working with them in Hometown 9 to provide a landing spot for these athletes for many, many years. We understand that it rains here a lot, maybe a little bit, but what we also understand is that when we built a facility business, we left people outside, and we want to bring everyone inside, metaphorically, and just from a standpoint of making sure that everyone has access and opportunities to come and be a part of the training centers. That's our commitment. We've been talking with the Mariners for many, many years now, and we're excited to have this all come into fruition. Our team is here. We all share a steadfast commitment. Our leadership team, our CEO, Griff Long, is here, flew all the way up from California, and that's how serious this is for us. We want to make sure that we're doing everything we can to make this happen. So any ideas, concepts, experiences that is going to make this successful, we're ready and willing to listen, and we just ask the same in return.
Well, along with camps, clinics, and play ball activations, the Mariners will be hosting in our 5-state market this summer, and the many youth and community events that Seattle will be host to as part of the Jewel event of MLB's All-Star Week. Seattle will also be hosting its first RBI Regional, to speak to that access point, Jamil. And it's the first time in over 20 years that we'll be hosting that on the heels of All-Star Week. And Baseball Beyond Borders will be the host of that regional event. And that event will bring in teams from up and down the West Coast. And Baseball Beyond Borders is also working to ensure local baseball and softball players are represented. So that we'll be having Seattle-based teams competing in that regional. And as part of the Mariners Training Center announcement, we want to give new and developing ball players an opportunity to visit, to be a part of that excitement. So the Mariners Training Centers will host grand opening events across all 5 locations over the first 2 weekends in March to kick off youth baseball and softball season. The events are free and open to the public and will feature throwing stations, hitting stations, bat and ball games, and more. And every child will go home with a Mariners Training Center ball player kit. We're so excited to announce this partnership today. We have a lot more work to do around access and equity in our region, and we'll continue to work toward a collective vision for barrier-free access to baseball and softball. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all. Again, they will all be available following the event if you have follow-up questions with them, and we look forward to seeing all of you out at one of the facilities to see the kids in action. It's really something to see. So thank you very much. We're very excited, obviously, about the 2023 All-Star Game, and we're very excited to be joined today by Chris Marinak. Chris is the Chief Operations and Strategy Officer for Major League Baseball, and he's going to give us some updates on what we can look forward to this summer.
Thanks a lot, Tim. On behalf of Major League Baseball, I'm excited to be here today to give you some more background on the events we have planned for the Midsummer Classic this summer in Seattle. We couldn't be more excited to be back in the Pacific Northwest for the first time since 2001. We can't think of a better location, particularly in July, to host a baseball event, and I know many of you will be there to experience it in person. One of the biggest changes that we've seen since the 2001 All-Star Game is really that it's become a week-long agenda. We have activities scattered really throughout the course of 6 to 7 days, not just the weekend, not just the game on Tuesday, but a whole host of other events, and I'd like to go through some of those with you today. The other big change that's happened in terms of planning for the All-Star Game since back in 2001 is that we've really taken a cognizant approach towards engaging the entire city. It's not just a matter of showing up to T-Mobile Park, which obviously is a great location for baseball and will be a great venue to showcase our week-long activities, but we want to be present throughout the entire city of Seattle and really bring to life this entire metropolitan area to baseball fans. And you'll see some of that within the programming that I'm going to showcase here today. In addition, you're going to see a focus on engaging youth and trying to engage our youngest fans and creating a program that's really available for all types of fans. Whether you can come to the game on Tuesday night, there's plenty of activities for you to participate in, free events and other activities around the city that are designed to engage fans of all shapes and sizes. Lastly, you're going to notice a significant commitment to the Seattle community. Through the MLB Legacy program, you'll notice a number of community programs, field refurbishments, and other charitable contributions to the Seattle community that we believe will leave a lasting impression in the community for many years to come. So to end my presentation, I just want to quickly go through some of the activities that we have for All-Star Week. I want to start with a new event that we have scheduled on Friday, July 7th. Called the HBCU Swingman Classic. This is a new inaugural event, and we couldn't think of a better city to kick off this new event. The namesake of the event, obviously, Swingman, is part of one of Seattle's great athlete and baseball players, Ken Griffey Jr. We expect Ken to be here and to be part of the All-Star festivities, and that'll be starting with this new HBCU event. This event is designed to take the best players from HBCUs across the country and bring them to All-Star and give them their own All-Star experience and chance to showcase themselves on a national stage. That'll be a focus of our activities on Friday. Moving on into Saturday through Tuesday will be our Play Ball Park event, which will be held between T-Mobile Park and Lumen Field. That's our Fan Fest event that also has a heavy youth component in terms of participation and other free activations for younger fans. That'll be an event that is open to the public, and there'll be a whole host of activations throughout the week that will create opportunities for fans to participate even if they can't come to the game or the derby at the ballpark. Moving on to Saturday, that's our All-Star Futures Day. So you'll see our great young rising stars from the minor leagues come play at T-Mobile Park, to be followed by our celebrity softball game, which is one of our highest engagement events and features celebrities and stars from around the globe playing in a softball game at T-Mobile Park. Moving on to Sunday, another new event that's actually been new for the last couple years, we started in 2021, is the MLB Draft. The MLB Draft will be held on Sunday evening, afternoon, and we expect that to be the showcase event for Sunday, open to the public, and will be a great opportunity to see baseball's next generation of stars being drafted with their friends and families here in Seattle. Moving on to Monday is our All-Star Workout Day, where we'll have the Home Run Derby. And moving into Tuesday, our final day, we'll start with a red carpet show. And here's a great example of taking advantage of the entire Seattle community. We'll be holding the red carpet show at Pike Place Market downtown, where we can showcase all the great elements of the Seattle metropolitan area. And you'll see our best and brightest stars showcasing their fashion trends and themes downtown in the middle of Seattle with some great views of the harbor and the city behind it. So we're excited about that event. We think it'll be a great showcase for the city and a great showcase for our players. And then to wrap up, Tuesday evening, we have the All-Star Game at T-Mobile Park, showcase of the best and brightest stars in baseball here on one stage in Seattle on one night in the middle of July. We're very excited about it. Obviously, it'll be a great way to showcase the city, and we're very excited to be here in the Pacific Northwest to bring baseball's Midsummer Classic back to Seattle. I don't know if I'm happy to take questions if there are any, but we're very excited to be back and look forward to being here again in July. We're still working out the location of the draft. It may be on a footprint down near the ballpark and Lumen Field, and we've also looked at some other locations around the city as well. We expect to have that narrowed down in the next couple weeks. Yeah.
For the play ballpark, will that be at the convention center? Will that be featured along the waterfront? What's that going to look like?
For certain, it will be in the convention center between Lumen Field and T-Mobile Park. There may be other activations within Lumen Field as well. There will also be activations in that city, the courtyard, kind of outside Lumen Field, that'll be open to the public. So there'll be some ticketed areas that maybe have additional activations. There'll be areas that are open to the public that are more walk-up. And we're also considering some other areas around the city for walk-up engagements as well. That's all still part of the process of coming together.
Any other questions for Chris? Thank you very much. We appreciate it. We'll be joined now by President of Baseball Operations, Jerry DiPoto, and Executive Vice President and General Manager of Baseball Operations, Justin Hollander. Jerry, Justin. Good morning.
Morning.
I would bet these guys would answer questions if people wanted to ask them questions. Ryan.
Hey, Jerry, I know you can't give us all the details, but can you do a rundown on some of the health status? Cal, Demo, Haggerty, all these guys, Evan White, going into spring training and whether they'll be ready to go?
Yeah, I'll do the best I can. I think Cal's ready to go. Murph, ready to go. All full baseball activity. Same is true for Sam Haggerty. He's a little behind the others, but he started his full baseball activity, I believe, last week, and he's been hitting for quite some time now. So Hag's in a good place. I think Demo had a bit of a setback, but nothing to create concern as it relates to opening day. We'll get a better idea once we're down in Arizona, but in a pretty good place. Andres Munoz 2 weeks ago left his boot. He's in a throwing program and progressing toward the mound, which should take place right about the time we get down to Arizona. Paul Sewald he's multiple throwing sessions in now. He should be in a really good place when we get there. We anticipate both guys being ready to throw in games while we're in Arizona, and we'll forecast once we get there. Trying to think of others who were. Evan White is full baseball activity. We right now our medical training team believes Evan is as healthy as he's been since the first incident back in 2021. So he is forecast to come into spring training healthier than he has in multiple years. I think that's everybody. It was a pretty good list. I'm sure there's somebody else that I'm forgetting, but we have a pretty good rundown on the health of our players, and right now we're trending well.
Daniel?
Jerry, 2 years ago when we were in here, or virtually rather, you said at the outset that your goal was to contend for a playoff spot, which you guys did, taking it all the way to the last day. Last year you said you wanted to secure a wild card spot, which you guys did. What would you kind of say is your goal for this season? I mean, obviously you've been very transparent about where you guys are as a roster, and do you think this is a team that can contend for the division title?
We do, and that's the goal. The goal, frankly, the goal last year was to win the division title, and that'll be the goal every year is to win the division, get into the postseason, and try to do some damage. I think we've never been more convinced of this team's ability to do those things than we were at the end of last season. So I think that goes for all the players in the clubhouse. It goes for us in the front office, our staff. We do feel like we got meaningfully better this offseason, and we are a deeper, more complete team than we were at the end of last season. And, I said this not too long ago, the start of the season isn't game 162. The start of the season is game one. And we'll take it from there like we have in the last couple of years where, whether it be from within our own system or players that join us from elsewhere, we are invested in continuing to get better, whatever that means. So, the goal is to win the division. We feel like that's a realistic goal, and we're going to do the best we can.
Jen?
Not only do you bring back a lot of familiar faces on the roster, but with the coaching staff, there is a newcomer in Stephen Vogt. What does he bring?
In addition to a lot of experience in the American League West, awesome personality. He's got a great disposition. I know we had a lunch with Stephen before he jumped on board with us, and it's impossible to sit with Stephen and not enjoy the conversation. He knows baseball. He knows this division. He has but from the catching perspective, offensively, he's always had an excellent approach in the batter's box and a humility that comes with the path that he took to get to this position. Stephen wasn't a glamorous prospect. He had to fight through every stage of his development and turn it into a couple of times in an all-star game and a decade-long career. And we're excited at him. I know Scott's excited, the coaching staff, and we've gotten excellent feedback from the players as he's interacted with them.
Corey?
Justin, when you guys were really scuffling last year before you guys kind of hit your stride, offense was a monumental challenge at times for you guys. How did the additions of Teoscar and Colton change that equation? I know you guys talk a lot about lengthening the lineup. Can you maybe talk a little bit more about the impact of those two and how it could potentially balance things out in the lineup?
Sure. With Teo, I think what you're looking at is just a true middle-of-the-order bat, a damage doer. And while you don't want to solely live and die with the homer, hitting a homer is good, and he does a lot of that. He's been one of the most consistent performers in our league for a number of years, and somebody who's an all-star level middle-of-the-order bat. It's hard to replicate that kind of production. And last year when we did hit those troubles, it was corresponding to a time where the guys that were healthy were struggling, and we had a lot of guys that were beat up. We think the addition of Teo really helps balance out the group that we ended the year with last year, and provides us with an additional push so that if you are scuffling, he's a guy that can come up when there's a guy on base and just hit it over the fence and get your momentum going again. With Colton, obviously, it's a different skill set. It's high contact. It's well above average versus right-handed pitching, and pairing with Dylan Moore and some of the other players we have on the club, it really provides us real production in a position that we have struggled with over the last couple of years. We haven't gotten a lot of production out of the second base spot, and we think this is a meaningful upgrade for us in a lot of ways, both offensively and defensively.
What are the reports you're getting about Jared Kelenic, and what gives you confidence that this is the year he's going to put it together?
The reports have been over the top awesome, both physically and mentally, the things he's working on this offseason. Jared DeHart, our hitting coach, was just down visiting with him in Arizona. We did some motion capture stuff on where he's at mechanically, tested through the roof. JK's always worked really hard. I think that's one of the things that always has given us belief that there's a corner to turn and he'll turn it, is that his work ethic, his desire to be great is second to none. We're really seeing the fruition of that this offseason. We really feel like he's in a great spot. His offseason couldn't have gone better in our eyes.
I'd add to that, and this correlation is not an apple to an apple because it's comparing him to a pitcher of recent vintage. But a handful of years ago, the Braves took Kyle Wright with the third pick in the draft, and he had a really difficult time getting over the major league hump, and a couple of up and downs where he comes to the big league, struggles, goes back to AAA, and then last year just exploded, became one of the best pitchers in the National League, which was the forecast the day he was drafted, and it reminds that it's just not linear for all guys. They don't all show up and look like Julio or Mike Trout or Albert Pujols. Some of them hit some bumps in the roads and they take a little bit of time. We still believe in Jared's talent. He works his tail off, and if he doesn't find success, it's not going to be because he doesn't have the talent and the work ethic to do it. And we're confident that he will.
Tim?
Jerry, all that said about Jared, how do you view left field, and could it end up being sort of a platoon situation with AJ's addition?
Oh, definitely will. That was the idea when we signed AJ, and it's whether it be Jared Kelenic, Taylor Trammell will play a role for us somewhere, and one of those two guys could be our left fielder on opening day, and it might be the other at some other point based on how they perform. But AJ Pollock is a great additive to both of their skill sets. Taylor has already proven very capable of hitting right-handed pitchers in this league, and he can play all three of the outfield spots. He's a pretty good base runner. Jared, we think, is an excellent base runner, does a great job defensively, especially on a corner, can handle center field as well, and does damage against right-hand pitchers. And AJ brings the opposite. He has a ton of experience especially in center and left fields. Really bangs the left-hand pitchers and kind of balances out the young bats from the left side. And, together they form what we think should be a pretty formidable, matchup. And there'll be opportunities for, one, two, or all three of them to get some DH days along the way based on how we're built right now.
Sean.
There's been a lot of talk about the innings that your young pitchers got last year, and you keep close track of that. It sounds like the six-man rotation is off the table in kind of resting guys and keeping it within reason. Knowing that you would like to have extra games at the end of the season, just in specifics a little bit more, what is the plan to manage some of those innings?
Some of it's going to take care of itself, in that we'll get into spring training. We do have Flex and Marco both stretched out and competing for a spot in the rotation. We've got George and Logan who are going to slow play a little bit. When everybody else is ramping up to their 2 and 3 inning outings, we're still going to have, Logan and George moving a little bit slower, just trying to hold the innings back in the spring to preserve them on the back end. The goal is to make sure that their 5-inning outing happens just before the season gets ready to start and develop it that way. We're not going to manage their innings in the same way, say, we did manage George's innings last year or Logan's innings the year prior. We feel pretty comfortable that they both finished the season very healthy. They were as fresh at the end as they were at any point. Logan got his second win right about the start of September, and George didn't ever seem to lose the first win. He was cruising by the end. So we're going to be cautious but not restrictive in developing their innings. And the other guys we feel perfectly fine with where they're at. Robbie and Luis are ready to go and throw the innings. Marco and Flex, that's what they do. So I feel like we're in a pretty good position there. It's really all about the two young guys and making sure that we are, we're thoughtful on the front end to make sure we preserve the back end.
Don't say six-man rotation out loud among our starters. We don't want to revolt on our hands.
Hey, Jerry, Casey Sadler had such a big 2021 for you. He's coming in as a non-roster guy this year. But how has he come back from the shoulder, and where do you kind of see him at this point?
I spent some time with Casey on Friday. He too, among the players recovering from injury, 100%. He's ready to go. He's throwing his bullpens. Really excited to see what Casey looks like live again. And, I joked around with him on Friday that he's, I think, probably on the longest consecutive scoreless game streak, per day in the history of baseball. But, he was such a big part of our 2021 team. And, if we get that version of Casey Sadler with the bullpen group that we currently have, that just takes us to a different level. And we'll need something to replace the loss of Eric Swanson, who was a real contributor for us. But, Casey has a chance to do that. He's done it before.
Ryan?
Jerry, we saw some video of JP at Driveline working on some things, and we saw Brash there as well working on a cutter and some other stuff. What are you hoping they gain from some of this off-season work that they're trying to do?
Maybe the most consistent attendee was, in addition to JP, was Trammell. Taylor was over there all winter long, as was Tommy LaStella. But I think that we were advocates for our players going out and seeking, that the third-party assistance, somebody different than the voices they hear from the Mariners, to try to help. Introduce new programs, try something new. You can get stale when you just keep on hammering the same nail. And I thought our players did a wonderful job of engaging this offseason. I think JP enjoyed it. Justin got some really good feedback from JP and his agent. And, at the start of the offseason, when we sat down with JP to talk about his offseason, what we were hoping to see, he delivered. He nailed every bit of what we hoped his offseason would look like. And mostly for JP, it's about getting from beginning to end without the big dips, and we think we can help with some of that, just making sure we bake in a day off here or there. The long season is difficult playing shortstop every day, but he really did put in the work, like he always does, but he put in the work, especially this offseason.
So Matt is still stretched out. You still have him stretched out to come in as a starter?
Oh, with Brash? No, he's not going to start. Yeah, he's coming in as a reliever. He knows that. That was the agreement we made when he decided he wanted to pitch for Team Canada. And our big thing with Brash, we don't want to toggle him back and forth between the bullpen and the rotation. We want him to be one or the other. And he was on board with the idea of coming in as a reliever and competing in that way, where he was just awesome for us last year.
Corey?
Jerry, I saw a lot of highlights from that Game 2 in Toronto on TV this past offseason, maybe one of the better games of baseball throughout the entire year. But that first game, with how Luis sort of dealt, kind of a great reminder of, when you give up a lot of prospect capital, this is potentially what you could get. I mean, can you talk a little bit about his performance post-trade, and if you have plans to keep him in bubble wrap during the World Baseball Classic?
There's I have deferred to Justin to provide the bubble wrap. And Luis is not going to pitch in the WBC. He's going to be in camp with us, and it's something that we are pleased with, that he'll be there, and it's a choice that we made together, and excited to see him from beginning to end. But the way he changed our team, just the way our team felt walking out on the field, starting each of the game ones, when you have that kind of presence, that kind of thump walking out on the mound, you feel it. And we played 3 games last year that are among the most entertaining games that I've ever seen. Maybe the best baseball games that I've seen in recent years. And Luis was on the mound for all of them. And we had a dynamic rotation. The young guys performing in back of them. We had the defending Cy Young Award winner. And for one pitcher to come in and change the vibe or the way people viewed your team, the way Luis did at the deadline was pretty remarkable. And I'm thrilled we have him. We're really looking forward to him being with this group for a full season, and think that's part of the reason why we're meaningfully better this year.
Was one of those games that was a Yankee game?
Oh, yeah. Which is one of the best games I've ever seen. At the time, might have been the best game I've ever seen until later. Yeah.
Justin, this comes from Jake on YouTube. How do you plan on utilizing Murphy this year, and how do you see the balance between him and Cal?
We really missed Murph last year. Not just what he brings on the field, and obviously the production's been really strong when he's been out there, but his leadership in the clubhouse, in preparation. I'm fortunate enough to sit in a lot of our catcher meetings, advanced meetings, and the additives that Murph brings to the table in game prep are really things that you don't get to see out here. The confidence he instills in the starter when he's working with that starter that night, to stick with the game plan, to bring out the best in that starter, to be creative and making adjustments in game when one thing is working and something else is not. That's just, it's unquantifiable huge value to our club, and we missed it when he wasn't around last year. So that will be big for our club to have Murph back. And obviously his skill set versus left-handed pitching is just difference making. Like, you get that kind of production from behind the plate against left-handed pitching is huge. In terms of the role and the playing time and all that, that's obviously up to Scott and the staff to lay out. I think in a perfect world, in Cal's perfect world, he would catch 162 games next year. And the way that baseball exists today, obviously it's really hard to do that. There's not a lot of catchers that run out there 120, 130, 140 times anymore. That's just not how baseball goes. So there'll be plenty of time for both guys, but in terms of how it gets split up day to day or series to series, that's really a Scott question.
As great as Julio was last year, what does the next step look like for him from your guys' standpoint?
I'm afraid to put a limit on it. I know Julio doesn't like that. I think what we saw last year was the beginnings of a special career. You don't do that unless you're going to be special for a long time, we hope. I think it speaks to Jerry's point earlier. The team that we had, and Julio's a great example of this, on April 1st was not the same team we had on August 1st or September 1st. And the improvements that we saw out of young players, the additions we made in season, Julio was so much different on July 1st and August 1st and September 1st than he was on April 1st when we were in Minnesota taking his first at bat. And I saw it the other day on TV, I think, or I was watching highlights with my son, Julio's first hit, and how excited he was to hit that double. I think it was in the ninth inning in Minnesota and sort of get off the schneid and break the seal. And we ended up coming back and winning that game. And the confidence that you see from him now day to day, he knows he's one of the best players in the game. And I would just assume the trajectory continues for him as one of the best players in the game.
Daniel.
Hey guys, with how you constructed this roster this offseason, how much of it is dependent on guys not just replicating the production that they have, but taking the next step forward, specifically your younger guys, and obviously health being a prominent factor for you last year as well?
Well, I think that's how you sustain. Is we've given over the course of the last handful of years. It's Logan, it's George, it's Andres Munoz, it's Matt Brash, it's a group of young position players, it's Cal, it's Julio, it's dates back to JP and Ty France, and the steps that they have taken with each month of their career. I think you see it's almost like a greenhouse effect. As the reps start to pile up and the players gain experience, there's all of a sudden it becomes just like it was in AA or just like it was in college or high school, and the talent plays and the confidence grows. We have a ton of talent, and we believed that 3-4 years ago when we started collecting this group of players, and to watch it evolve the way it has on the field has been second only to the way it's evolved in the clubhouse, because we have a phenomenal group of guys, and very rare is it that you see a group that brings this much energy coupled with this much work ethic and this much care for the guy next to him. And, that's an exciting thing. So, what do we expect come in 23 for them to take that next step like they have in almost every month of their major league existence? And, with so many guys that are still in the growth phase of their career who are already good major league players that have a chance to step forward and be better than good. We have a handful of that group of player, that type of player, and couple that with some additions from outside, and that's what gets us so excited about this team.
Hey, Jerry, can you give us a final list of players that are going to go to the WBC? And not to bring up a bad memory, but I think Drew Smiley wasn't going to go, and then they asked him to go, and he went. So do you have a list, and is it kind of the final list, like these guys are going to go or they're not going to go?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you wouldn't have brought up Drew Smiley if you didn't want to, stir the bad memory. But we don't have a final list. It's still a little bit ambiguous, but we do have what I would say is a squishy, firm list. We do anticipate Julio, Diego Castillo, and Tasker Hernandez playing for the Dominican Republic. We do anticipate Gino Suarez going to play for Venezuela. We will have Matt Festa going to play for Team Italy. I would say there's no other hard locks outside of Harry Ford, who will play for Team Great Britain. Now, there's some others that could be involved. And Matt Brash with Team Canada. But outside of that, I don't think there's anything hard and fast. But we do have another handful of candidates that are on the active lists that the federations could call. We just haven't received those calls.
Anything else for these gentlemen? All right. Thank you very much. Again, they'll be available following the event at lunch as well. And I wanted to bring up Scott Service. Scott is making his way from the back of the room.
Just want to say a few things on behalf of the team. This has been some kind of season. It has been a long time. Thank you to everybody that is here tonight and every Mariners fan in the Pacific Northwest. You brought the electricity tonight to this building, and it was unbelievable. You have made a difference with this team, and I thank you.
Wow. Oh, my gosh. Holy cow. Thanks, Tim.
We're always thinking of you. Year round, 365.
Yeah, no doubt. But I was just going to make a comment. Big Dumper's in the house with a nice sports jacket on and everything. So step up. It's all good. But 2023, it's on. Let's go. Questions. What do we got? Statements? No opening statement. We haven't played a game. We haven't done anything. Last year was awesome, and we look forward to getting better. Doesn't matter, get better, right?
Questions for Scott. Stoney?
Hey, Scott. In what areas do you think you're going to be better this year? What leads you to believe that this team can do better than you did last year?
Well, the key to our season last year, I said all along, was our starting pitching. I thought really carried us all year, and then when the addition of Luis Castillo, we just took it to another level. So you're hoping those guys can stay healthy, really key. But it was a struggle for us offensively last year, certainly early in the season, getting consistent offense up and down the lineup. So with, more experience, guys going through, things late in the season, in the playoffs, hopefully will really help us getting off to a little bit better start. And we've added some pieces. Excited about the additions we have with Teoscar Hernandez, Colton Wong, A.J. Pollock, Tommy LaStella's on board. Tom Murphy coming back and keeping him healthy. So, consistent offense is really what excites me most about our club.
Jen?
What's the benefit of having somebody like Luis Castillo there from the beginning of the season, and even Gino Suarez, who came in during spring training last year?
Yeah, it is a benefit having him. Certainly the guy at the top of your rotation, and we all saw the ability that Luis has and how he can just change the game, just take the mound and dominate, take over the game. And what that does, it helps your whole club, just a different vibe around your team. Certainly helps the bullpen on the day he's going to pitch. He's going to go out there. He's going to get deep into the ball game. He's going to win a lot of games for us. There's no question about that. So having him from day one, it's different. We haven't been around Luis in spring training before. So, kind of his workup mode, what he does to get ready for a season. I know our pitching coach is talking to him, but everybody's a little bit different. And certainly these guys have routines when they get a little bit deeper in their career. So I'm excited to have him, for the whole season. I felt like we had Gino for like 2 or 3 seasons last year. He brought so much to our team on the field, in the clubhouse, the personality, and it's always interesting with Gino. He's means so much to our ball club.
Hey, Scott, Logan and George, 2 young guys who had really good years for you last year. What's kind of the next step for those 2 in 2023?
I think those guys learned a lot, just how to manage the workload going through a complete major league season, and then pitching in the intensity level of the playoffs and what that takes, and how to stay at that level. I think the one thing we're trying to get both of those guys do, and Jerry and Justin hit on it earlier, is last year from the first day of spring training, Logan Gilbert was throwing 98 miles an hour. First bullpen he threw. I really don't want to see that. We don't want to see it this year. We are going to have a little bit different ramp up with him and George as well. So I think the big thing with these guys is we've seen it before. Sometimes seasons can get away from you if you don't stay healthy, certainly on the mound. And keeping those guys healthy, all these guys, starting pitching is so vital to having a chance to win every night. And, we put great streaks together. The 14-game win streak, it was awesome. We had some come-from-behind wins, but it was driven by starting pitching. We were in the game every night, and that'll be the key for our season this year.
Hey, Scott. We're not too far removed from an era where, in the American League specifically, bench players weren't seen or heard very much. They collected a lot of cobwebs. You guys have taken a different tact in terms of how you utilize your bench. It seems like this year, with the personnel you have an opportunity to probably mix and match. I'm sitting next to Shannon here, so I'm going to not ask lineup questions.
Today,
No, just how is that going to help moving forward?
I think it is important, and we need to get all of our players to understand how important it is, and JP being one of them. JP is a grinder. He wants to play every day, and it's hard to take him out of the lineup. But I think what we're seeing over time here, he can be probably more effective offensively for certain if he does get consistent days off. And this is the deepest team we've had since I've been here. From our starting pitching to the bullpen to the regular lineup to the guys on the bench, they can all play, and they all play a huge role in allowing us to get back to the playoffs and hopefully, like I said, winning the division. But, got to be cognizant of it. It's one of the things for myself, leaning on coaching staff, leaning on our HP staff, our trainers, our strength coaches, everybody communicating. We spent a lot of time this offseason in trying to shore up those communication lines. And we have, as you know, around me, we have a lot of meetings. But the only way to understand where people are at is you've got to communicate. And I think doing a better job with our position players, I think we've done a really nice job with our pitching. But it's been a focus for us this offseason. How can we get better of keeping our position players, as close to 100% as possible? Because we were on fumes there at the end with a number of players who were banged up and how they were trying to struggle through it. It happens, but you want to stay out ahead of it, be proactive with it, and I think it's something that we're on this offseason.
Scott, Jerry said that he believes you guys can contend for the division. What about this team? I know you mentioned it was deeper, but what about this team makes you believe you guys can make a run at the Astros or whoever that usually wins this division?
Well, the last time I checked, we played them 3 really good games. We're probably one swing of the bat away from winning all 3 of those games. They go on to win the World Series. They're a really good team, and they're not going anywhere. We're a really good team. We're not going anywhere. So I say that, and our division's gotten better. We're not the only team that's gotten better. Everybody has made some moves to improve. So it'll be very competitive. Of course, the schedule's a little bit different this year. We play everybody in the big leagues this year, so you play less interdivision games, which will change things a little bit. But I think the experience that we gained with our team last year down the stretch and in the playoffs is going to really help us going forward. And the closeness, the chemistry amongst this group, just because the season ended, they didn't end those relationships. These guys are talking, they're hanging out, they're at weddings, they're doing different things throughout the offseason and staying in touch. They can't wait to get back to spring training and take the next step.
Hey, Scott, this question comes from Zach on YouTube. How are you planning to train for the rule changes during spring training?
Good question. We just had a Zoom call with MLB people on Monday with all my coaching staff going through, kind of the particulars of all the new rule changes so everybody could hear it from the top. I think it's really important. I was exposed to it at the winter meetings, but making sure all of our coaches understand it and have the ability to ask questions. Certainly the pitch clock will play into the game. The game will speed up. It needed to speed up. It will be a little bit of an adjustment period for players, but these are the best in the world. Our guys are used to making adjustments. I don't think it's going to be a big issue, but it's something you'll see a little bit different as we get going in spring training. The rules will be put in effect immediately, so players have a chance to adjust over the 25, 30 games we play in Arizona. But pitch clock will be big. Obviously, the no shift rule will help the game. There'll be more offense. We need more offense. We need more action. I think there'll be a bigger emphasis put on the stolen base, and on the flip side, defending the stolen base. The bases are a little bit bigger. You can't throw to the bases. As many pickoffs as you had, the better. They're just trying to speed up pace of the game, and it's a good thing. We need to be proactive and get out ahead of it. We're losing fans. Our games takes too long, and needs to have a little more action, and I think this will help.
Hey, Scott, that series against the Astros was just so tight, back and forth for all 3 games, and you touched on it, just being right there with them. How tough was that to kind of stomach this offseason, but in that same context, how much confidence does it give you guys that you guys are pretty close to them and catching up?
It's only one team goes home happy at the end of the year, and it was a little hard. You sit on it for a few days, and then you start reflecting and looking back on everything we accomplished this year, and from an organizational standpoint, not having been in the playoffs for so long, what we were able to accomplish. There's a lot of good that came out of it, but we'll find out how much good as we get into this season. And believe me, we will have struggles this year. We are going to lose 5 or 6 in a row again. It's going to happen. It happens to every major league team throughout the course of the season. At that point, the talk radio will want to get rid of me and Jerry and everything else that goes on. I get it. Okay, but it's going to happen. But our team, having been through it, kind of the slow start we got off to last year, turning the corner, those things really help when you've been through it before.
What does the next step look like for Cal?
He made a pretty big step last year. I think the consistency Offensively, certainly, a lot of big hits, a lot of power, huge home runs, whatnot. But I know Cal and how he prides himself on coming to the ballpark every day and finding a way to help our team win the game. And we all know the great job he does behind the plate and the amount of time he puts in and the relationships he has with our pitchers and the trust factor or the trust he's gained with our guys has been huge. But I know just the consistency offensively is something. And I know his thumb feels much better now. I don't know how he played down the stretch the way he did and as well as he did. A credit to him and the mental toughness that he showed last year. But he's got places to get better. He knows it.
Yeah.
You mentioned the depth, and it doesn't appear there are a lot of position battles in spring training. What are some of the things that you need to see in spring training, some questions that you need answered?
Yeah, there'll be a few. There's always battles. There's always things that come up. Guys get banged up or whatever. I think every camp I've gone into, you kind of say, okay, this is what our roster is going to look like, and then you wake up 45 days later and it didn't work out with these 2 or 3 guys, and these 2 or 3 guys really surprised you. So there will be some things that come up there. Certainly, bullpen spots, what our final rotation spot looks like. Some of the bench spots. But I think for me, taking the next step in spring training is, I do think it is important. You kind of start all over again. You can't assume anything. And I talk to our coaches all the time about this, is when you go into camp, we got to start going over the same things on day one that we've always done. Don't leave any boxes unchecked, so to speak. And we'll spend a lot of time talking about the rule changes as well and how that is going to affect things. And maybe we can find some ways to use that to our advantage on the offensive side there. So there's plenty of things to hit on, but I don't want to lose sight of what makes us good. I think what makes us good is we pitch really well when we catch the ball. And when you hit timely home runs, you win a lot of games. That's kind of been our formula here. But we'll continue to play a lot of close games. I think the last couple of years we play as many one-run games as anybody in the league. That's just how we're built. It's how the ballpark is designed. The games are going to be close. There's not a lot of runs scored here. So doing the little things, catching the ball. Perry Hill loves spring training. That's the holy grail for Perry is spring training and the time he gets to spend with our infielders down there. So, and our guys know it. They look forward to it. The thing about this team, they're not afraid to work.
Scott, I was going to ask you about Aaron Rodgers, but I won't. What challenges?
No, it's the main. Just
I can't help myself.
You can't.
It's what I do.
Yeah.
What challenges does it present when you could have 5, 6 guys missing for the WBC and your workouts? It's your center fielder, it's your third baseman, a couple pitchers. Does it present any challenges? And do you worry when those guys aren't there and kind of out of your control about what's going to happen with them?
Well, you worry about the health-wise, and it's early in the season, and these guys are playing at such a high-intensity level when they haven't been doing that for a number of months. So you're always worried about injury, and you want those guys to be healthy. These are key contributors for us going into the season. So, we did not have a good experience in 2017. It ended up hurting our season and our chances of winning that year. So you're always concerned about it. I think the fact that guys leave camp, there's a little bit of the camaraderie, the chemistry that's built up throughout spring training. With guys, and like I said, every team is different. Everybody says, you had a great run last year, and we got a great group of guys, and I thought we'd have carryover from 2021, and there really wasn't. We had new faces, we had new personalities, and we've added some more this year. So there is a little bit of the, I don't say worry, but understand why they have the event, understand the value of it, and you're trying to promote the game around the world, which it should, which MLB should. But, we'll lose those guys for a few weeks. As long as they're continuing to play and they're getting their reps in those games, they'll be ready to go when the bell rings on March 30th.
Stoney?
How do you see your DH spot this year? Is it just kind of a rotation?
Yeah, it is a good question. You won't see a full-time DH. Certainly, we picked up Carlos Santana, and he filled in for Ty a lot at first base when Ty was dealing with some injuries. But you'll see, Teoscar Hernandez at DH. You'll see Pollock at DH some. You'll see that flow. You may see another catcher at DH on particular nights. So we will rotate guys through there, and I like it that way. I know it's great if you've got the big bopper, whether it's Nelly Cruz or David Ortiz, but if that guy doesn't exist, it really is beneficial to get those guys off their feet that day without losing their bat in the lineup. So I'd like to get Gino a few more DH days as well. That's why LaStella could be a fit here, and getting him some reps at third base is going to help.
Tim?
Scott, it's not too often a guy goes from playing to immediately on a major league coaching staff. What went into bringing Stephen on board, and what do you think he can help provide?
Yeah, we've seen Stephen vote for a long time, and I've always appreciated his game. And you know, Jerry mentioned earlier, not just his game, but his path to get to where he did and the type of career he had. And it's funny, I had a long conversation with Stephen Vogt right at the end of the year when we were playing Oakland. Probably talked to him for 20, 25 minutes just off to the side before a game started one day. And right away I could tell he was at the end. I've been there as a player, and what's the next step? And he was very clear he wanted to get into coaching, understand where he's at with his family and whatnot. And the fact that he is living in Olympia, you know, it seemed like a great fit for us. When the opportunity came about for us to sit down and talk with him, it just seemed like a home run fit. I think he's got a lot of upside in the game. Wouldn't be surprised if he was sitting in this seat someday and being a manager of a major league team. But along the way, you'll learn, you know, how the system works. And I always say what it's like on the other side of the door. And he's already learning. First of all, you don't show up and then leave early. Coaches are usually the last ones out of the building. But, you know, getting him exposed to what we do, you know, from Zoom calls and talking to other coaches and our analytical group and getting exposed to some of our players on some of the Zoom calls we've had this offseason. I think he's a great addition. The fact he's just coming off the field, he's not, you know, he's going to spend the game time in the bullpen, but he will be involved in a lot of facets. We want him involved in our offensive game planning. He'll be involved, obviously, in the catcher game calling meetings, things like that, things that he's very comfortable with and he's very close to having just come off the field. So I think it's a home run fit. I know he's fired up and his family is as well.
Anything else for Scott? And I should point out that Stephen is here today as well, so you can follow up with him following the event if you'd like. Thank you very much, Scott.
Thanks, guys.
You've seen the bobblehead. You've seen the video. We're going to bring up Cal Raleigh.
Boy, a lot of anxious folks out here at the ballpark. 3-2 to Cal. The pitch from Acevedo. A drive deep to right field. Down the line. The Mariners win this game 2-1. The dream lives. They're going to the playoffs. The drought is over. Cal Raleigh. Wow. Hey now. Hey now. Hey now.
Corey, question for Cal?
How many times do you watch that, Cal?
It'd be embarrassing to say, so.
It was such a rare moment to be able to do that. Any walk-off is rare, but considering the magnitude of the night, how much have you let yourself go there and think about that night and that moment since the end of the playoffs?
It's kind of hard not to think about, honestly. I mean, you know, I'll be scrolling through, I don't know, Instagram or something like that, and it pops up, or my mom's scrolling through Facebook and pops up, and, you know, the pitch from Acevedo. It's kind of like the funny thing going in our family, so. But it was awesome. I mean, to do that, it was, I mean, I don't really have any words for it. It was amazing to share that with all the fans and our teammates and coaching staff and everybody here in the Mariners. It was awesome, and what a special night it was.
Jen? Oh, sorry. Ryan, go ahead.
Me?
Yeah.
Cal, your thumb was pretty gross by the end of last season. You showed it to us. How did the procedure go, and what does it feel like now? Are you back to normal? I mean, does it look all deformed like it did?
No, I think it's pretty normal now. It's I got a good scar on there, but had surgery down in LA with Dr. Shin, and it went great. The training staff, have been in touch with them. It feels like every single day this off season, talking through it, making sure everything's good. I went down to Arizona about 2 weeks ago and finishing up down there, and it's been great. You know, we still have ways to go as far as, like, you know, rehab, strengthening, some little things here and there, but I caught my first bullpen yesterday, caught Marco down in AZ, and felt great, no issues, and, you know, we're looking forward to spring training with it.
Scott mentioned the camaraderie of this team. In what ways was the energy or the vibe different during off-season workouts and meetings?
Can you repeat that?
In what way was the energy different around off-season workouts and meetings just after last year?
It's exciting. It's an exciting time, and kind of rolling in here today kind of gave me goosebumps and just brought back good memories and, how exciting everything was towards the end last year. So, you definitely kind of have that, and you kind of have that as a motivation going into workouts this off season, whether it's, in the weight room or in the cages or just even talking to the guys, the Zoom calls we've had too as well. So it's been a lot of fun, and the energy is definitely high.
Hi, Cal. There's a lot of talk about taking the next step as individuals, as a team. What do you see for yourself in that?
I don't really have any specific goals. Like, I don't want to hit for a certain average. I don't care about the home runs, whatever. I just want to win. So as long as I can help this team win day in, day out, whatever my role might be, that's what I want to do. The first things first is leading the pitching staff. And, I think I definitely took a step forward last year. And, I think we got to continue doing that. We got some new faces now, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Just continuing to work with them, continuing to get better, and understanding that we have some ground to make up, and we want to be right back in the same place we were last year.
Hey, Cal, how tough was it catching a hard-throwing staff with that thumb, and how exactly did you get through that? Was it just mental, willing your way through?
Yeah, that and some numbing helped out a lot. So, but it wasn't easy. But like I've said before, kind of understanding the situation and knowing what was on the line made it pretty easy for me as far as the decision to keep playing and wanting to be in there. I had lots of conversations with Skip and the training staff, and I just wanted to be in there every day helping the team, and didn't really care about what was kind of going on there. And I just wanted to end the drought, and I wanted to go as far as we could in the playoffs, and that's kind of what was on my mind at the time.
Hey, Cal, at the position you're getting a healthy reinforcement in Tom coming back. Just how valuable is it to have another guy there, but also somebody that knows this pitching staff, knows you, somebody you can trust, just adding him back to the roster healthy?
Yeah, I know we're all excited to have him back and healthy. It was unfortunate what happened last year, but, like Skip and Jerry both said, he's a really smart guy. He knows what he's doing. He's been around for a while. There's a reason for that. So, it'll be good to have him back in the meetings and, back behind the plate as well, helping out the staff. And I think, communication is going to be key, whether it's between me and him, coaching staff, whatever it might be. Just getting the pitchers on board, and we all know that's where it, starts and ends with us.
When it comes to the rules changes, particularly that pitch clock, is there something that you have already done to start to either work with pitchers or work on your own to get adjusted to that?
No, I think in spring training we're going to kind of have a kind of, I don't want to say rude awakening, but an awakening. So, some guys like take their time, and that's going to have to change. That's with the pitch clock and all that good stuff, and stepping off and pickoffs. But, I think our coach staff would do a great job of kind of explaining that. I know us catchers have a call sometime next week. We're going to go over it, kind of talk about the ins and outs of it, understanding, what we can and can't do, and kind of some cues that are going to help us out with that.
Cal, with the new additions, obviously the emphasis was guys with postseason experience, playoff experience from somebody inside of the clubhouse, and a player with only 1 year of postseason experience. What does it actually do for you guys to have more players with that experience?
Yeah, I mean, I think you saw it last year when we brought in some of the older guys that had kind of been around and understood what it was like and what it took. It helped us out a bunch. I know, just talking to them and being around them. But adding these guys is definitely going to be a huge help. I'm super excited. I'm just excited we don't have to pitch to him anymore. It didn't end very well, but it's going to be awesome. I've heard a lot of good things about these guys, and I think that's something the Mariners do a really good job of. They don't just get really good players; they get good people, and bring those guys in, and we all mesh really well. And it's a really important part of it.
So you have this promotion, the cowboy hat. What is the story with the cowboy hat? We have seen you with one.
I mean, I just like the cowboy hat. I mean, I wore it on the plane a few times, and
I guess it kind of fits with the name Cal and kind of goes back and forth. And I wear my boots a bunch, and whether people like it or not, but it's I enjoy it. I think it's a good time.
Any other questions for Cal? Shannon has broken the room. That's what we're saying. Yeah. All right. Thank you very much, Cal.
Thanks, guys.
Pleased to bring up for sort of the first time in Seattle, Teoscar Hernandez. Teoscar joined us.
But we do have some news. Dominican-born Teoscar Jose Hernandez being traded to the Seattle Mariners.
And you can forget about this one, folks. It is way right. Sliding catch in the corner.
To deep right. Jumping Teoscar Hernandez makes the catch.
He's a stud. He is a multi-dimensional threat.
Now Teoscar Hernandez drives it off the wall and gone.
That's his power zone right there.
It's a great trade for Seattle, bringing that big power bat into the mix.
High fly. He's down the left field line. It's gonna go.
Another guy in the middle of this lineup that can hit.
Absolutely hammered. And Teoscar Hernandez destroys a 2-run home run.
Thank you for joining us, Teoscar. We appreciate it.
Thank you, guys.
Questions? Daniel?
Hey, Teoscar. First off, welcome to Seattle. Your numbers in this ballpark are just off the charts. What makes you so comfortable hitting here? Is that something that you look at? Just kind of walk us through your level of comfort of, hitting here in Seattle.
I think it's because I love this stadium so much. Since I was in Houston, I always love to be in here and play in this field. There's not any reason in particular, but I think it just because of that, because I enjoy playing it in here.
Just your initial reaction, getting traded here, everything you knew about the team. Obviously, you saw them at the end of last year. Just what was your excitement or just your emotion when you found out you were heading to Seattle?
I mean, I was seeing a lot of things in Twitter and the opportunities that it might happen that I got traded here. And I was kind of waiting for that a couple of days before the trade happened. It's always a surprise, especially when you've been so much with one team, been around the guys for 5-6 years. But at the same time, it's excited to be part of this organization and to see what they can do and special moments and now being in the home side and be with them is pretty exciting for me, and I'm pretty happy for it.
Some videos of you working out with Julio Rodriguez this offseason. What's your guys' relationship like?
I mean, I'm trying to get a good relationship. Obviously, he's 8 years younger than me. I'm trying to learn from him, and I'm trying to teach everything that I know to pass him and try to see what we can do together and try to enjoy the time that we're going to be together for a really long season.
Tim?
Teoscar, what was it like playing against this team in the playoffs last year?
I mean, I had most of the people says that they want to play Seattle. I was one of the ones that said no because of the really good team that they have. I know they had a pretty good pitching staff, starting and relievers, and I don't want to face that in a playoff. So I wasn't happy, but at the same time, it was a new goal for us when I was in Toronto to face the Seattle Mariners and to face the really pretty good team that they have.
Stoney and Jen?
Yeah, Teoscar, the lineup or the roster for Team Dominican Republic for the World Baseball Classic is just mind-boggling. How excited are you for that, to be part of that team?
I mean, it's very exciting. As a player, you always wanted to represent your country, and maybe being in the one for this year is very exciting. Makes me pretty happy because I see what the Dominican team do in the past, and I just want to be part of that and feel very proud of it.
You've done so much in your career. You're an experienced veteran, but is there anything that makes you nervous or anxious about acclimating to a new team in spring training?
No, I just wanna be myself. Try to do the same thing that I was doing when I was in Houston, when I was in Toronto, trying to bring that positive energy to the clubhouse, to the field, to my teammates, and just trying to know each other and have a good relationship, not as a team, not as a teammates, but as a family.
Oscar, this question comes from Haley on YouTube. You mentioned your comfort level in playing here. How excited are you to be at T-Mobile Park for opening day in front of the Mariners fans?
Oh, I can't wait for that moment. I think it's going to be really, really good atmosphere when we get back here on March. And I can wait to see the fans and the energy that they're going to bring for this team.
Hey, Oscar, what was it like trying to hit Luis Castillo in Game 1 of that series, and how glad are you to be playing behind him now this year?
I mean, I'm glad that I'm in his team now. He was dominant. He was making pretty good pitches. We cannot get him because he wasn't missing the spot that he was trying to do against a pretty good offensive team. And I think now being in his side, it makes me feel better because I don't have to face him.
Daniel?
Oscar, I know it's tough to leave a place that you know so well, especially a team as good as the Blue Jays, but how motivating is it for you to come to a team that has every intention of competing for the playoffs and seeing you as a key figure of that, and also with 1 year until free agency from an individual perspective?
I mean, at the end of the year, every team is trying to win, and that's what I'm here for. I know it's a business, and it's hard to leave a place, like you say, when you have all the relation with a group. But at the end of the day, it's my job. I'm not thinking about that anymore. I'm just trying to get focused on the things that I can do and the things that I'm going to bring to this organization to try to bring a championship to the city of Seattle.
Julio has talked at length about how much it means to him to come from Loma de Cabrera and just represent for the Dominican Republic as a whole. What does it mean to you to now share an outfield with him, two Dominican Republic players sharing the same outfield together?
I mean, it's pretty good. It feels really great, especially when you came from a country to a town. His town and my town, they're pretty little. And the Dominican Republic, and from my town, I'm the only big league player. So I think from his town, he's the second or third big league player, and that means a lot, especially because all the efforts that all the little kids from the Dominican Republic put on to have his dream come true, and for us to be in this stage right now and representing the whole country and a different country, and that's pretty excited and makes me feel proud of the things that I've been doing.
Other questions for Teoscar? All right. Thank you so much. Again,
thank you, guys.
Everyone will be available following this formal part. If you want to follow with anybody, find someone on the PR staff. We'll be serving lunch in the Ellis Pavilion, so either up the elevator or just up this first staircase to the lobby, and Ellis Pavilion is right there. And thank you, everyone, for joining us today. We're incredibly excited. Truck leaves on Monday for spring training, and we'll be on the field a week from Monday. So baseball season is upon us. Thank you.
Sellout crowd here at T-Mobile Park. That's your ball game. The Mariners win the home opener in resounding fashion. Keep it rolling, boys. Keep it rolling.
Brand, the man of the day, wins it in 10. Good finds only. Julio tagged it. Gone. Home run. George Kirby, Robbie Ray.
He got him. Logan Gilbert pumps his fist.
And the Mariners won it 14 games in a row.
Guys down to the bullpen. They have the name now. Los Bomberos.
Big strikeout. Strike him out. Giddy up. Giddy up.
The 3-2 pitch, swinging a drive, deep to right field. Holy smokes, he did it! How sweet it is! The Mariners end the 20-year drought.
He struck him out. Luis stealing.
On the way to Cal, driving to right field. It is gone. Goodbye, baseball. A 2-run home run. Cal Raleigh. Line shot in the left field. Julio with a swim slide into second base. Swing!